What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. We got some important warnings about the markets as we're approaching some tough resistance. You should be watching for when it comes to other factors involved with the markets. But before I begin to most information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but it's the entire community as a whole. Anyways, guys, I want to talk about something very important involving the markets. Just note that we just got some important data. The unemployment numbers just came out at 4.1%, a little bit above expectations, showing signs that once again the labor market is becoming a little bit weaker and a bit weaker than what we expected. Now, the labor force participation rate is fine. Non-farm payrolls are also above expectations. We have governmental payrolls above them, and not to mention, non-farm payrolls that are private. However, manufacturing payrolls are a little bit below expectations. So it doesn't really matter as much. What matters the most is just knowing that the unemployment rate is higher than expected. This is showing more and more contraction. And this is a very, very big sign that the economy is slowing quite a bit. And then that could also lead to not only, us getting closer to a recession, but in essence, this may even lead to the Fed continuing to pivot very, very soon. Now, when is the Fed going to pivot? We don't know for sure. They mentioned that in their June meeting, and also very, very recently, that they're not really ready to do it yet. They need more data to do so. But if they were to do it, maybe later on during this year, that's not anything to celebrate. The market is just pumping because it thinks there's going to be a soft landing. The Fed pivots when things start breaking, and there are more and more signs that the economy is contracting. I want to make that very, very clear. So, it's a very, very interesting situation. I just want to keep this in the back of everyone's minds. As of right now, the market's continuing to pump. So just be a little bit careful. There's also some news over here that just came out that the Friday's job reports, it's once again showing that it's going up above 4% for unemployment. This is the first time it happened since January of 2022 that we've surpassed 4% for unemployment. During the pandemic periods, it's never been this high. So it's slowly climbing. So you want to be very, very careful. And the market's still at all-time highs, which is like fun to watch and all, but you want to be careful as we approach these tough levels. SPY has max pain at 544 and 1.83 puts to call ratio, over 450,000 puts expire, and we have about 245,000 calls expiring. So just be careful. It is a Friday. They're known for manipulation. As of right now, SPY has been shuffling for the entire pre-market, but I want to make it very clear to watch at particular levels. So on SPY, watch 552 to 552.5. If we break past 552.5, we could be looking for another push for new all-time highs and get very, very close to 554. If we end up losing 551.25, we're going to be dipping to 550.5 all over again. But this is basically our chop zone. This is the range for the last couple of days. We basically have 550.5 as critical support and 552 as resistance. Losing 550.5 means SPY will likely dip all the way down to at least 548.5. So just be very, very careful and make sure you watch these levels. So lose 550.5, we're more bearish. Break 552 and we're a little bit more bullish. Otherwise, we just shuffle in between. So make sure you watch this resistance near 552. It is tough. You guys can see how SPY kind of like pumped and dumped when the data came out. We're still green, but it's just shuffling right now, going back and forth and back and forth. So we might see a lot of manipulation, but just be very, very careful, in my personal opinion, at the levels like this. For Nvidia, I'll be looking at this 130 resistance and support at 127. If we lose that, we'll be dipping all the way down to 125, followed by 123. So make sure you watch and see how this ends up reacting. 127 is a big level for Nvidia. Let's see if we break past 129 or not. If we break that, we're easily going all the way up to about 130 plus. And if we end up losing 127, we're going to be dipping quite a bit. That's going to be very, very important. So we'll have to wait and see, guys. There is kind of like a head and shoulders developing here on Nvidia. We'll see if this leads to a sell-off or not. But I'll be watching to see at least 125. Can we hold above that or not? 127, 125 are key supports. If we lose that, we're turning more bearish. We need to break 130 to turn bullish, but this looks a little bit more bearish to me. Like 125 is going to be tested, so I'll be careful with that. Bitcoin is already kind of like dipping a bit. You guys can see we broke our low at 57,500, rebounded only to sink all the way down to 53,000, rebounded a bit, and we could continue to fall. So we'll be watching this downtrend that's established right here. We'll have to see how things end up developing, at least moving forward. For Tesla, Tesla's been on a very, very nice looking uptrend so far, but I want to warn everyone to be careful with one thing. Tesla's been shuffling in the pre-market between 250 and 253. If we break past 253, I'll be looking at 255 and then 258. And if we lose 250, we'll be dipping down to 248, and eventually there'll be a big drop to 245 if that fails us. We're kind of shuffling right now, and Tesla has some tough, I would say, it's a very, very tough consolidation area between 250 and 252. So watch this 250 area. I think it's going to be very important. If we lose this, Tesla's going to be dipping. If we hold this, we could try to rebound. So just be careful and see how Tesla reacts. It's going to be very, very key. If we lose support at 250, 248, it's going to be where our 20 EMA happens to be. We'll see how Tesla holds above that. If we lose this, there'll be a bigger drop. So watch for that very carefully. Tesla is shuffling. So I think we're going to most likely shuffle between 250 and 252. But if we lose or break one of those levels, I'll be watching to see what the big moves happens to be. Sorry, 253 is the level, not specifically 252. So we're shuffling between 253 and 250. So watch and see which way we break just to be safe. For the QQQ, we kind of pumped to 493 and kind of rejected a bit. Watch 491 is support. If we lose this, we're going down to 490, then 488. If we break 492, we're going to be pushing to 494. As of right now, we're shuffling right now between 490 and 492. So we'll have to see if we could really hold up right now. I'm going to be very careful with this. I'll be watching to see if we hold 490. If not, things could really shift. But I'm just going to be very, very mindful of that this could be grabbing liquidity and maybe coming back down. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For Apple is trying to hold up right now, looking decent, but just be careful at 222. We still have to break 222 around that area to turn back to even more bullish. Haven't done so yet. If we break this, I think we're going to go all the way up to 224. We're not really there yet. We're just kind of consolidating. If we lose 220, however, there'll be a bigger dip all the way down to about 219. So I'll be watching to see how this ends up developing. So I'll give this some time. I think we're just going to continue to shuffle between 220 and 222 on Apple, and we're just waiting for a bigger move. But I also want to call out other tickers like Coinbase, which are showing some weakness right now. We actually broke below this support. So see how we had this trend? We were uptrending. Instead of bouncing off this, we actually lost support right here. That's a big sign of weakness. So this shows me that we're going to likely dip to at least 200, if not 192. This looks bearish to me. So look for a dip on Coinbase. There is more downside potential. For Amazon, I'll be watching 198 and 200 as resistance levels. If we lose 196, we'll be looking for a dip all the way down to 193. I think it might dip a little bit, but we'll see if we hold 196 or not. Lose now, we turn more bearish. For Meta, we're basically at 510. Look at 508 as key support. If we lose that, 505 is coming, followed by 500. If we hold through this, I'll be looking at 515 as our imbalance. But there's a risk of this dipping down towards 508 in my personal opinion, just to see how things going to develop. For Microsoft's on a very, very nice looking uptrend. I'll be looking at 460 as our resistance, not to mention 462. And if we end up projecting, if we lose 459, we'll be dipping all the way down towards 456. So Microsoft is at resistance at 460. We'll have to watch and see how it reacts to 460 to 462. Will we break 460 or do we get a rejection? I'll wait and see. And then for Google has a nice little bearish divergence right here. If we get some kind of rejection, I'll be looking at 185.8. And then if we lose that, 183.5 is coming. And if we hold above this, I'll be looking at 190 as resistance. So we have kind of like a bearish divergence. I'm going to be a little bit careful at this 188 resistance. We can see Google's kind of shuffling. So I'm going to give that as some more time as well. We're just in the middle for at least the market. The market's pushed a little bit. It's testing some tough resistance. So we will see if we keep going or not, guys. So I want to warn you all to be very careful. Be very, very mindful of the levels I called out. All right. I want to thank you for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you in a few hours and peace out.